What's up? What's up? What's up? Coach Bruce is in the studio. I have decided I'm not going to let my young daughter shame me into not using what I've become comfortable with as a catchphrase. So, starting that over because I just went live on Facebook. What's up? What's up? What's up? Saying it again because my daughter will not, out of fear, scare me from using my catchphrase. Take that, daughter who doesn't watch my live stream. Today, what I wanted to talk about is something that I used to struggle with really greatly, but I've gotten a lot better at. And that's if it's broke, did you at least try and fix it? And what that means is how often do you notice that something is going wrong and you don't do anything about it because you're fearful of how your intervention is going to make things worse, or how it's not going to solve the problem, or whatever the myriad of fears one might feel about trying to fix something. And this can really go into a wide variety of things. For me, what I noticed it most in is I wasn't a handy person. Before I got on the fire department, I could like hand tools, power equipment, like all of that stuff was completely foreign to me. So whenever something came up that had to do with fixing that stuff, I would just freeze. I would just be so terrified that I was going to mess it up that I would be afraid to try. And looking back on some of those things that I was afraid of, you know, fixing the weed eater, what does that cost if you have to go out and buy a new weed eater? Anywhere from 50 to 150 bucks, depending on how nice you want to get one. The ones I was working with were likely old and in need of replacing anyway. So, but I would still have this fear of consequence that was cranked up to 1,000 because my brain likes to whisper a whole lot whenever it's something that I haven't done before. That fear would be just really breeded out of that lack of familiarity. And what's real is that the consequence has little to do with your familiarity with the task or a situation. It's how well do you do the thing kind of affects the consequence, and sometimes the consequence is just high or low, no matter how well you do the thing. But whenever you are anxious about a situation, that consequence level has no relative base in what the actual thing is. It just starts to feel like everything, like the world is going to crumble if you are unable to unplunge the toilet. That's what I used to struggle with when I was a kid. I would be so anxious about the fact that the toilet was clogged. And I was like, hey, what if I can't do it right? What if I mess it up? And so I would just like go in the bathroom and stare at it. And that used to happen all the time, mostly because my brother got to the bathroom first. Let's just talk about that. But as I've gotten older and I got a couple of small wins under my belt after getting on the fire department and getting some confidence in just using tools, I started to take on more and more small machine repairs. Like I fixed a couple lawnmowers, I fixed a few weed eaters. I had a problem. Our oven went out and I had to replace the igniter on the oven. And all these things involved me getting into situations that I wasn't comfortable with, but I'd gotten used to being uncomfortable and just trying to fix it because it's like whenever there's a financial concern with it, like I'm not cheap, but I don't like to waste money. So if there's a possibility I can do something for the cost of the part and the part is like, less than 50 bucks, then I want to try, because the expense of having somebody come fix the thing or having to buy a new one is usually, over a couple $100. And that's just not something I'm willing to just give away because I was not willing to try. Um, this was on my mind today because our clothes washer like started leaking from the bottom, and I was like, well, that's a thing. And I hadn't done any washer fixes before, so I was feeling that anxiety a little bit again, and I just pushed through it. And I was like, I'm gonna order this part. Every YouTube is a beautiful thing. I cross-referenced the symptoms my washer was having with several different videos, and it seemed like a drain pump would likely fix the problem. And I found one cheap enough to where it was like, this is worth a try. So I ordered the part. And one thing I try to do is I try to give myself a much larger margin of error for time because I know I'm bad at planning time and like my time expectations. So it's like I usually try to do it on a Saturday or Sunday for any fix I'm going to do, both to kind of give myself the mental room to like plan it out, figure out what I'm going to do. I like to think things through before I do them. I'm not like a just running and start like hammering away type person. Like I like to have a plan. I like to watch a few videos. I like to, decide how I'm going to attack it whenever I get in there, and it always takes much longer than I think it's going to because there's always inherently one piece of the whatever that is just slightly different than what the video you saw is, or what the part that you needed was. Like this pump was the exact same pump number, model number, like voltage, like everything was exactly the same. But at some point, from the time they manufactured the washer to the time they manufactured the pump, they changed the size of one of the adapters, and I started to freak out. It was like, I've got this thing taken apart, like I've got the other one off, like we need to wash clothes. What am I going to do? Am I going to go spend 2 hours at the Home Depot trying to find this tiny adapter, like, sifting through all the different ones? Or here's an idea. I can just try to make it work. Um, I can make the one that we have fit. Did a little bit of research, make sure I wasn't going to electrocute myself if I messed with the adapter size. That wasn't going to happen, and it wasn't going to reverse the polarity or anything. So I cut it to size, shaped it a little bit, made it fit, and I fixed the washer. The drain pump is running fine; it's not leaking anymore. And the thing that's really important for me to understand and to make clear to other people is, even if I had failed, if I hadn't been able to fix it, the consequence would have been needing to get a new washer or call a washer repairman, which was the consequence of not doing anything anyways. Nothing changed. Nothing changed if I failed. So trying often does nothing but provide a better result. I was able to spend 25 like $27 on the entire process in a Saturday afternoon. And we have a washer that is now working as good as new because I was willing to push through that discomfort and try to fix the thing. This is something that you can really apply to anything in your life. If your marriage is on the rocks, if you're having um, a difficult time communicating with your children, if you're struggling at work, have you tried to fix it? Have you put in the time to do a little research, figure out a plan, and then put in the effort to try and fix whatever it is? Don't let the anxiety and fear build up so much to where it feels like even making an attempt to fix it is going to make things worse. It's not. Like there's very few situations when you trying to make things better is going to make them worse, because doing nothing at all is not a solution. It's not. So I encourage people to get out and try to fix the things that are giving them anxiety, to put the effort in. Just give it a try. Sometimes you end up saving your family a bunch of money, and you also get that feeling of victory and triumph, and being the guy. Like it's a little bit shallow, but it feels good to be the person who fixes things around the house, to know that my kids and my wife can come to me and I can solve a problem. That feels good. But if I didn't try to solve problems, then I definitely wouldn't be a problem solver. So that is it for today. That's all I wanted to talk about. I wanted to share that with you. Um, if you are struggling with fixing the way you communicate with the world, I again encourage you to check out my communication course, made specifically for ADHD dads, but really applicable to anybody who is struggling to communicate, especially if you are neurodivergent. It is called the 9 Steps for the ADHD Dad to Radically Improve Communication. And I really think that it is a valuable resource that can help a lot of people communicate with intention and authority, and you should check it out. And that's it for me today. Go forth this weekend and be yourself and love yourself, and I will talk to you tomorrow.